Joe Biden now calls you, me, every single Trump supporter in the country a piece of garbage. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, my friends, trust me when I tell you this, okay? Trust me. You take this one to the bank. What happened last night is not just the fundamental watershed in this election. I now believe it is the watershed of our time because it crystallized, exposed, truly revealed the hatred, the pure, rabid hatred that the Democratic Party, their leaders, their elites have for you, me, and middle America and the American people. And so, as you know, I've been talking about this now for the last couple of days. The media in this country, the Democrats, the Harris-Biden regime, and the Harris campaign have been on a political jihad. There's no other word, a jihad against Trump, especially in the wake of his immensely successful, brilliant rally in Madison Square Garden. And they keep trying to compare it to a Nazi rally. This was Hitler. Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. And the only evidence they can point to, which is pathetic, is a joke. A joke about Puerto Rico by this mediocre, unknown comedian, who, by the way, has nothing to do with the Trump campaign, has nothing to do with the actual administration or what the administration of Donald Trump will be, has no affiliation to Donald Trump. Trump himself says, honestly, I never heard of this guy. They said, you want a comedian? Yeah, sure. Throw a comedian. I leave it up to you guys. So they found this guy and he made this, crude joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage. Now, it has been 72 hours. Non-stop. He owes Puerto Rico an apology. Trump owes Puerto Ricans an apology. Trump hates Latinos. Trump hates Hispanics. Trump's a racist. Trump's a fascist. Trump's a Nazi. And it goes on and on and on. Well, yesterday, Joe Biden went all the way. All the way. Listen to him now. Say the quiet part finally out loud. You know what he thinks of Trump's supporters? Which now, by the way, is over half the country. You go by the polls, it's over half the country. Here is what he now said openly about his own fellow citizens. Roll cut 1, Mike.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
He can't walk that back. I'm telling you, this is the line. This is now the final insult that is going to break the back of the Harris-Biden regime. And you can tell now Democrats are in full panic. They know he really stepped in at this time. It is blowing up. This comment has gone viral. It is all over the country. It is all over the world. And let me just say this, okay? And this needs to be said. Who the hell are you to call me a piece of garbage because I support Donald J. Trump? Who are you to call members of this incredible audience pieces of garbage because they, or most of them, support Donald J. Trump? Who the blank are you to insult over half the country? Border Patrol, law enforcement, veterans, teachers, nurses, working people, families, parents of all walks of life of all races, of all creeds, men, women, gay, straight, young, old, I could go on. We're all pieces of garbage because we dare to vote for an alternative to your disastrous, destructive policies? Now, as Mark in Messenger, he messaged me this maybe 30 minutes ago, and it was perfect. It was an absolutely perfect message. He said, Jeff, I normally don't message you this early, but I got to get this off my chest. I'm like, hey, I get it. Believe me, buddy, I get it. And as Mark pointed out, whatever you think about Donald Trump, whatever you think about his supporters, okay, whatever you think about him, Joe Biden, in theory, is supposed to be the president of the United States. This is how you talk about your own citizens? You openly denigrate them, disparage them, vilify them, slander them, dehumanize them? This is how you talk about the citizens of your own country? That's what you're the president of the United States. And this is how you talk? You're this insulting? You're this hateful to over half the country? And remember, as Mark rightly pointed out, Jeff, he said over and over again, Trump was the divider. Trump was the one that was dividing and polarizing this country. There is nothing more divisive than what Joe Biden now has been doing for the last 3.5 years, but especially now with this comment. Are you kidding me? This is your idea of unifying the country? By literally now, puh. I'm garbage? We're all garbage? Every American is garbage? Now, it was so shocking. It was so stunning. Frankly, it was so repulsive and despicable. Unheard of. Unprecedented. At the rally in Pennsylvania, Marco Rubio went to the podium, and Trump is looking at him like, why is Rubio walking down the hall and, going down the steps and approaching the podium? And Marco Rubio interrupted Trump, and he said, I'm sorry to do this to you, Mr. President. You can look on Trump's face. Like, Trump is like, this is completely unscripted. What's going on? He knew something had happened. And Rubio told the stunned, shocked audience, this story has just broken. It is now everywhere. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, has called our supporters garbage. The crowd couldn't believe it. And as Rubio said, you have to be very clear. Border Patrol, garbage. Law enforcement, garbage. Nurses, teachers, veterans, everybody, elderly, senior citizens, everybody that supports our movement, everybody, all of you in this massive arena here. The president just said, you are pieces of garbage. Listen now to Donald Trump's, when he found out, this was Trump's reaction right after Rubio spoke. Roll cut 2, Mike.
So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable? And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, it's terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. Convinced.
Now, Trump was being very presidential, and I'll tell you why he was being very presidential. By the way, I disagree with him. On this, I do disagree with Trump. I think Biden knew exactly what he was saying. I don't think this is dementia or he doesn't know what he's saying or his mind is so freaking gone now that he's just a complete raving lunatic. No, this is what Biden has been thinking about us now for a long time. And as Mark pointed out in his message to me on Messenger, Jeff, what this now shows and solidifies is the sheer rabid hatred that the Democratic Party and their leaders have for us. That's what this now shows. It is now completely in the open. It is now undeniable. It's undeniable. They hate us. This is what they really think of us. And it's now the culmination of what I've been warning about now for the last 6 months. Kamala Harris is calling us fascists. Not Trump. She's calling him fascist, but she's calling all of us, his supporters, fascists. Tim Walz, the Democrats, and the media are not just calling Trump a Nazi. They're calling you, me, all of his supporters Nazis. So, according to them, we're Nazis, we're fascists, we're racists, and as Joe Biden now said, we're garbage. We're scum. We're subhuman. My friends, this is their closing argument. They just lost the election. To MAGA and everyone, never forget this. Never. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. The fallout now is immense. The consequences are reverberating across the entire country. I'm going to play it one more time. In fact, I'll be playing it, frankly, all morning. This is one of the biggest stories. Forget the news cycle. This is now going to go down in history. What Joe Biden said yesterday, it was a Zoom call with Voto Latino, and he was reacting to this. They're trying to make as much political hay out of a unknown comedian who did his little stand-up routine. As I said, I didn't think it was even that funny, but he made this insulting joke about Puerto Rico being an island of garbage or a floating island of garbage. And again, not affiliated with Trump, not affiliated with the Trump campaign. We don't even know if he's even going to vote for Trump. This unknown comedian, okay, Tony Hinchcliffe. But the Democrats, the media pouncing on this. There it is. He's a racist. He's a bigot. And Biden let it rip last night. The mask completely came off. You want to know what he thinks of you? What he thinks of me? What he thinks of over half the country? And by the way, Kamala has not denounced Joe Biden's remarks. She has not called him out. She has not said she distanced herself from it, that she repudiates it. Nothing, absolutely nothing from Kamala Harris. So her silence tells you everything you need to know. She's calling us Nazis. Tim Walz is calling us Nazis. Hillary called us deplorables and irredeemable. They're constantly calling us racists. But now, my friends, Biden may have topped them all. This is him last night. By the way, as Kamala Harris was speaking at the Ellipse, and they bust in people from everywhere, many of them having gone to 2 or 3 of her rallies already. This was supposed to be her closing argument. The juxtaposition of her at the Ellipse versus Trump at the Ellipse on that famous, infamous January 6th day in 2021. And it was supposed to be a contrast between herself and him. No one's talking about her closing argument or her speech at the Ellipse. Everyone is talking about this. There's no other way to put it. A spit in the face. A slap, a verbal slap in the face. Roll cut 1, Mike.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just, look, on many levels. By the way, this is infinitely worse than Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables. People are saying, well, it's very much like her basket of deplorables. No. No, with all due respect, I completely disagree. Hillary Clinton was a presidential candidate. She was not the president of the United States when she said that at a fundraiser. And garbage, I agree with Trump on this. Garbage is much worse than being called a deplorable. I mean, it's a disgusting thing to call voters deplorables. And remember, Obama called us bitter clingers. And by the way, Biden went to Pennsylvania recently and said anybody in Pennsylvania who's voting for Trump are the dregs of society. They're dregs. So, you know, this is the kind of rhetoric we've been getting used to. But for a sitting president of the United States to say this about his own fellow citizens over half the country is absolutely beyond the pale. And look, I'm going to be brutally honest with all of you like I'm in the confessional, okay? I had an exchange last night with a very good friend of mine. He texted me, story broke. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. He was shocked for many reasons. And I said, listen, I'll tell you this about Joe Biden. You combine now them constantly calling us Nazis, constantly calling us Hitler, constantly calling us fascists and racists. And now, straight from the mouth of the President of the United States against his own fellow citizens, calling us garbage, pieces of garbage. They are now, and Biden in particular, Biden and Kamala and Waltz, are now putting a target on all of our backs. Because, and that's his point as well. He was texting me, he says, look, Jeff, what they're doing now is they are feeding so much hatred. They are pumping so much vitriol. They are being so reckless and irresponsible. And frankly, demonic, disgusting with their rhetoric, that they are now putting Trump supporters' lives in danger and jeopardy. Because now you got unhinged people in this country. And I'm talking about the Bills in Sudbury, the Bens in North Andover, the Chris's in Gloucester, full-blown zealot fanatics. When they hear stuff like this, have we forgotten Brian Foley already, who got beaten up by a mob simply for holding a Trump flag? Now we've got other incidents now of attacks and assaults on Trump supporters all over the country. Trump had 2 assassination attempts. They tried to shoot him in the face. They're setting up a 3rd mother assassination attempt, and they've put a target on all of our backs. My friends, what Biden has done is disqualifying. 6:31 here on the great WRKO. Hello, my fellow pieces of garbage. How are you today? My fellow Nazis. My fellow fascists and racists. This is unbelievable. Okay, 6:32 on the great WRKO. Very quickly, the lines are jammed. I want to go to our incredible callers. Look, there is a theory out there, okay? And I just want to, 2 very quick points. One, as I said just before I went to break, Biden is clearly now unfit. He's clearly unfit. I mean, we knew that for a long time. But after this, as I said, this is disqualifying. This man is completely and utterly unfit to be president of the United States. To say this about his own fellow citizens, he's inciting violence. This is incendiary. It's inflammatory. He's begging now. He's basically begging some deranged lunatic leftist out there to start going after Trump supporters. You or me. Republicans should be demanding his resignation on the spot. They should drive this story now all the way until November 5th. This is the only thing now they should be talking about. Now, and this is Vivek Ramaswamy's take, Trump kind of hinted at it, and Sandy is convinced of it as well, and I know many of you feel the same way. So let me play Trump's reaction. So this is now, Biden is now gone on the air, and to everyone's shock and horror, has said, no, Trump supporters are all pieces of garbage. They're garbage. His supporters are garbage. Not Puerto Rico. The supporters of Trump, all of them are garbage. Marco Rubio, this has now gone everywhere. The wires are breaking. Everybody's like, what did he just say? Holy shamoli. Rubio, he's at a rally with Trump, goes down the stairs, rushes to the podium. Trump is looking like, why is he's not scheduled, even said it, he's not scheduled to speak. He's kind of like, why is he rushing to the podium? He knows right away something has happened. Rubio slips him a piece of paper. Trump looks at it. His eyes like boom, like they pop wide open. Like it's like what? And then Rubio says it's breaking everywhere now. Biden is given an interview, and he's called our supporters, all of you in this arena now, garbage, pieces of garbage. And he goes on to say, our border patrol, our nurses, our teachers, our military, our vets, our police, everyone who supports Donald Trump and our movement, we're all pieces of garbage. Americans are garbage. And the audience starts booing. They're shocked. They're frankly disgusted. They're repulsed, as I am. To me, I find Biden a loathsome, repulsive human being. And then Trump says this. Roll right after. This is Trump's immediate response. Roll cut 2, Mike.
So you have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable? And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know. You have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said. These people, terrible, terrible. Terrible to say a thing like that, but he really doesn't know. He really, honestly, he doesn't. And I'm convinced that he likes me more than he likes Kamala. Convinced.
Okay, now that last bit, okay, that last couple words, that last phrase, that last sentence. He goes, I'm convinced he likes me more than Kamala. Now, you can just interpret that as he's trying to be a little funny. And if you notice, he's trying to defuse the situation. Because Trump now realizes what's happening. Their rhetoric is now so apocalyptic, so incendiary, frankly, so dangerous and irresponsible that he realizes when I win on Tuesday, there could be tremendous mass political violence. And so I'm going to try to lower the temperature. I've got to lower the temperature because people are going to get killed now. There's going to be rioting, looting, burning. There's no question now. If they keep going on this track, Hitler, Nazis are coming to power. We're all being sent to internment camps. Okay. But what he's also hinting at, and this is what Ramaswamy said openly on X last night. He goes, Ramaswamy said Joe Biden is now vindictively sabotaging Kamala Harris. Last night was going to be her big night. They had been teasing this for days and days. Her big closing speech. This was going to be her final pitch. And it was going to be symbolically at the ellipse. Right there in front of the White House. Right there. To contrast, supposedly, her vision, her presidency or potential presidency versus evil Orange Man and what he did on January 6th from the ellipse. Nobody's talking about her speech. With those words, he big-footed Kamala's big speech. It's blown off the news cycle. Nobody even talking about it. Nobody even cares. By the way, just so that you know, in that speech, she called Trump, a fascist who will impose a Nazi-style dictatorship. And again, she referred to the rally in Madison Square Garden as a Nazi rally. Well, a rally is a group of people. So again, his supporters are Nazis. That's her big, positive, optimistic vision, okay? But let that go. The point is, by Vivek, what he's doing now is he's now paying Kamala back. He's paying the Democrats back, the Democrat machine. You overthrew me in a coup, in a palace coup. You humiliated me and took me off the ballot. You stole the nomination from me. Blank you. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to let it rip. And I don't give a damn about the consequences. Now, does he believe that we're garbage? No question. Is that what he thinks about us? No question. But now he's saying, you know what? I'm 81 years old. Who knows? Probably die soon. You all pushed me out. I don't give a damn. And if I can take Kamala down, and if I could really stab her in the back for what they did to me and my family, pushing us out like this, even better. So, there is a theory out there, and many of you subscribe to it, and I hear you, that this was deliberate on the part of Joe Biden to undercut Kamala. So nobody would be talking about her speech. Instead, now the White House is playing defense. Kamala's campaign is on the ropes. They're playing defense. Liberal media outlets, some are trying to defend and justify it. Others are saying he didn't say what he said. Others are saying it's disgusting. It's a complete mess. He just dropped a bomb on the Democratic Party and on the Kamala campaign. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Anthony in Michigan. Thanks for holding, Anthony. You're going to kick us off, and welcome.
Thank you, sir. As always, you are a blessing. Prayers to you and your family on this stressful time, man. I don't know how you do it, but Jeff, I can't be more positive. Do you feel it or what? We're going to win this thing. They are on the ropes. Anyhow, back to Vivek. Definitely, I agree with him. I think it's what Biden did is aim it at really who got rid of him, Pelosi and Obama. Ooh, Jeff, this is a huge food fight within the DNC. It's not pretty. And I want to juxtapose this for a minute. Do you remember when Biden went to GM and said they were the number one electric car producer in the country?
Yes.
When they were putting out, like 24 cars a month or something stupid. And what sweet revenge that Elon's on the stage with Trump. And I think there's everyone on the stage is incredibly positive. I mean, if you were to start your own podcast tomorrow and the Kuhner network, you'd want these people on your board of directors. Tulsi, Vivek, Elon. These people are amazing, and they're going to be quite an asset to turn this country around. And I think people are missing all this, and there's got to be a great sense of envy. In regards to Elon, I think we're missing something here that Trump probably saw that we're missing. And I'm trying to put this in a positive note after what Joe said, especially with, my background having dealt with folks with this ailment. These outburst type of things do occur, but I do believe this may be planned as a gotcha. But Trump and Elon are all both builders of things. This is extremely difficult stuff. And I think it goes so unnoticed where Trump built buildings and now Elon's building everything that's vehicular, rockets, an AI system, blah, blah, blah. We got Americans that do things rather than.
I agree. No, Anthony, look, it's going to be an all-star cabinet. And it's going to be an all-star administration. There's no question now. You can see it. He's loading up his team with really the best and the brightest. And look, that's why look, he's winning this election. It's obvious now. This is their last desperate gasp. And it's an ugly, despicable, and dangerous gasp. More with your calls next.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Okay, these are the words now being heard all over the world. 649 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, look, there's a couple of points that need to be made. Because I support Donald Trump, I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a fascist. I'm not a racist. And I'm not a piece of garbage. And neither are you. And that's now what the Democrats are trying to convince the country of. That's what Joe Biden has explicitly said. This is Kamala Harris. This is Tim Walz. I have never seen such a disgusting, defamatory, dangerous, reckless, irresponsible campaign in my entire life. And the text line is burning up. And this is what someone sent to me. A picture of Corey Comparator. And he said, Jeff, he, like half of America, supported Trump. He died at a Trump rally using his body as a human shield to save the lives of his family. Kamala and Joe, they think he's garbage. This is someone forwarded me a text. They texted me this, but they forwarded a tweet or an X post by Charlie Kirk, the conservative activist. And I couldn't agree with Charlie more. And I think this is where a lot of people are saying, oh, come on, Jeff. Joe Biden, he's senile, doesn't quite have it upstairs. He's a demented old man. Nobody should take him seriously. I completely disagree. And listen now to Charlie Kirk, because he's completely right. Quote, Joe Biden is using dehumanizing language towards 80 million Americans, calling Trump supporters, quote unquote, garbage. This is how the worst atrocities of the 20th century begin again in 2024. They think you are garbage, therefore worthy of elimination. When they start saying and branding us as Nazis, as fascists, as despicable racist white supremacists, now as subhuman pieces of garbage, it's not just insulting. It's not just degrading. It's not just demeaning. It's literally dehumanizing. And I'm getting text messages from people saying, you know, Jeff, with all due respect, calm down, tone it down. We'll just, this is a gift to the Trump campaign. It may be a gift. I agree. Oh, in fact, it's no question it's a gift to the Trump campaign. As I said in my opening monologue, now I'm telling you, Kamala Harris is going to lose. Because this is going to fire up Trump supporters like nothing has ever fired us up. As I said in my opening monologue, don't you ever, ever forget what they've now said about us. They can never take those words back. And we're going to give them another 4 years? Are we nuts? Are we insane? So this is going to propel Trump voters to crawl on broken glass if we have to vote on November 5th or in early voting. So there's no question. It's a massive gift to the Trump campaign. No question. But I'm thinking about the backlash in violence. I'm thinking about the backlash in assaults. I'm thinking about what's going to happen after Trump wins. I'm thinking now about the target that they have now put on all of our backs. And I'm going to say something now that needs to be said. The only reason why they're going out there calling us garbage, calling us Nazis, calling us Hitler, calling us fascists. They're doing it for two reasons. And let's sober up and get out of the bar. They're doing it, number one, to justify trying to steal the election on November 5th. and I've got a bombshell story for you. I'm going to talk about it later. They're openly now intimidating and suppressing voters in Pennsylvania. This story blew wide open last night and yesterday. Voters, Republican voters, are being openly turned away, shoved aside, blocked and prevented from voting in multiple red counties in Pennsylvania. Bucks County seems to be the epicenter. It's caught on tape. There's no denying it. So they're trying to use this to say we need to steal the election because Nazi scum, subhuman scum, are now about to seize power. And what they're doing, number two, is if we can't steal the election, they're laying the groundwork for revolutionary mass political violence against us, his supporters, and Trump. Now, look, I'm telling you, if this is not nipped in the bud, forget it. It's out. I mean, the genie's out of the bottle. But that's why Trump is trying to tone all this down. But if we don't say this is unacceptable, you have now crossed red lines, then, my friends, I'm telling you, something very dangerous, very ugly, very violent is going to happen. It's inevitable. This is not me fear-mongering. I'm telling you, you keep shouting fire in a crowded theater, someone's going to get trampled over and killed. Now, that man had 2 assassination attempts. They shot him in the face. Within 1 millimeter, they would have killed him and blown his brains out. And it would have plunged this country into a crisis and a social chaos we haven't seen since 1860. And this is the dreck. This is the crap that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are peddling day after day. The only thing left, I'm telling you, the only thing left is for Biden to go out and say, kill him. Like, just get it. Kill him. That's it. I'm telling you, that's it. That's it. He is unfit for office. Kamala Harris has disqualified herself from being able to serve as president of the United States. Tim Walz has disqualified himself. When you go on about over 50% of your fellow citizens are Hitler-loving Nazi racists and pieces of garbage, I'm sorry. You're the president of the United States. These are your fellow citizens. And this is how you openly trash and vilify and slander them? And the excuse now is, well, he's an old man. He's an old man. So is Kamala an old woman? Because she's saying the same damn thing. Is Tim Walz an old man? Because he's saying the same damn thing. What about CNN? What about MSNBC? What about ABC? What about CBS? What about all of them? They're openly putting a target on forget Trump. Obviously now they're preparing another assassination attempt. They're saying it as clearly as you can say it. Will somebody put a bullet in his head? But what they're saying is, do it to you and to me. Charlie Kirk is not 100, 1,000% correct. As an historian, I'm telling you. How do you think Lenin laid the groundwork for the genocide of the peasants? Stalin, the genocide of the Ukrainians. Hitler, the genocide of the Jews. By exactly this kind of dehumanization. They're animals. They're garbage. They're subhuman. In Stalin's case and Stalin's case in particular, literally, they're Nazis. Hey, we're wiping out fascist scum. Come on, you should be giving me a medal. This is beyond inflammatory and incendiary. We're now getting into genocidal eliminationist rhetoric. Enough with this garbage. Enough. Obviously, they can't match Trump's record. Obviously, they have nothing to run on. Obviously, they're losing their grip on power. Obviously, now they can't run any kind of a campaign. Here are my ideas. Here are your ideas. Here are my policies. Here are your policies, and let the best person win. No, the Democrats can't do that. What they're waging now is a scorched earth campaign. If we win it, we seize power and we impose one party rule. And if we lose it, we're just going to burn the whole damn thing down. Enough. Enough with this. And where are the conservatives? Where is the conservative media denouncing this? 617-266-6868 is the number. So let me set the table, and I want to open up the phone lines now and listen to all of you. Kuhner country, you need to be heard. I want you to be heard. Joe Biden now says you're a piece of garbage, every single one of you. Are you offended by this? Kamala says you're all a bunch of Nazis and racists. Are you offended by this? And will this have an impact on the election? Has Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, have they just essentially kissed the election away by so openly insulting and defaming their fellow citizens? I say yes. What say you? Lines are jammed. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Jeff, I'm clearly offended. The term I prefer is white trash. Let's just get that right. I was talking to Sandy when I called in, and as soon as she put me on hold, I'm thinking, crap, I've got my deplorable shirt. Now I got to go find a garbage shirt. Yeah, I've got that one where I had it with Tulsi Gabbard at your show where it says, I was deplorable before it was cool. Now I got to find a garbage one. Oh. So, yeah, I wanted to piggyback on what one of your other callers had said. I had discussed it before with my dad having Alzheimer's. It's not that they don't know what they're saying; they don't care. The filter is gone, and that's what Joe is. Joe's just filterless. He's saying whatever comes to his mind. You know, there's no excuse. It is what it is. But I was really upset yesterday with a bunch of our side letting the media dictate what we should be offended by. Because the Kill Tony guy, his name's Tony. He's got a podcast called Kill Tony, and we may not know who he is. I've seen him on some clips, but Gen Z does. And I'm willing to bet it was Barron's suggestion to have him host it. Because Barron's the one who got him on Rogan and Schultz and all these other podcasts, Vaughn. You know, because that's this generation, they're all into these podcasts. So that's where I think that came from. Because I was sitting there going, I was called more horrendous crap in the first 15 minutes of getting to basic training than any of these people will ever hear.
Larry, I'm just curious. Trump, he did an interview with Hannity last night, and he said, look, I never heard of this comedian, don't know the guy, I didn't hire him to speak at Madison Square Garden. He goes, frankly, I didn't even hear his act. I had no idea what he even said. And then, he said, look, he's not affiliated with me. I don't even know if he's voting for me or not. He's not affiliated with the campaign. And this is what they're seizing on? His joke about Puerto Rico being this floating island of garbage? Like, this is all they have? If they got a problem with his comment, take it up with the comedian. I speak for myself. My campaign speaks for itself. My vice president speaks for me, obviously, and the surrogates I had up on that stage, like Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and so what does this have to do with me? And by the way, Larry, it's not working. I don't know if you saw the big pro-Trump caravan in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's shadow senator came out and said, we remember Trump. We remember he was there for us during that devastating hurricane while he was president. He showered us with money. He came personally and distributed food and paper towels and helped build back the electric towers and the electricity lines and the hospitals and the schools. And hell, he even sent a hospital naval ship, because so many of the hospitals were wiped out in the hurricane. They're like, I'm sorry, man, but when Puerto Rico was down, we know who had our back. It was Donald Trump. So, if this comedian, this no-name comedian makes a stupid joke. By the way, I think it was off the cuff. From what I'm reading now, it was just, hey, he was looking at the crowd and he just decided to throw, just on his own, on a tangent, take a cheap shot at Puerto Rico. So if this is all the media has, Larry, they're going down. And it's not working with Puerto Ricans, and it's not working with Latinos. And that's why Biden is going berserk. And that's why Kamala's going berserk. And notice, even her speech at the Ellipse yesterday, I mean, I'm not the only one. This is not an original point, Larry. She mentioned inflation, lowering food, gas prices, the economy 3 times. She mentioned Trump dozens of times. Dozens. She's not worried about you or me. She's not worried about our concerns and our problems. She's obsessed with one man. And that's Donald Trump. And they're clearly now, they're unhinged. So if you think, Bill Clinton yesterday came out and said that the military is going to target him and arrest him under Trump simply because he's a Democrat. And that if he needs to be put in some kind of an internment camp, this is what Bill Clinton said. He goes, please send me to Guantanamo Bay. It's better at Guantanamo than these internment camps that he says Trump is planning to erect. These people are crazy. I'm like, are you listening to yourself? So here, I'll play this. Larry, I want to get your reaction because you're not going to believe this. This is Congresswoman Debbie Dingell on with Jake Tapper. And they're just like, you got to see the stuff now that's coming out of their mouth. They're never going to live this down. This is going to be a source of shame and humiliation for the rest of their lives. That's why I'm like, you're never going to be able to walk this back. What an absolute idiot, an insane, crazed idiot, hysterical, histrionic, shrill idiot you were. This is a member of Congress, Debbie Dingell. By the way, and she's pretty, frequent on these talk shows. This is what she tells Jake Fake Tapper on CNN. Roll cut 24. Mike.
The Arab American community needs to be reminded and cannot forget. He wants to ban Muslims, he wants to deport Muslims, and he wants to start internment camps. And that's what we are busy talking to every voter. He's telling you what he's going to do. Believe him.
Internment camps?
Yes. He just talked internment camps. You know what, Jake? You may have to visit me in one. I get worried enough when he talks about what he's going to do to his political enemies. But he has talked about them in this with different groups of people.
When has he ever said he's erecting internment camps? When? Show me one. Just once. Once. Here. To every moonbat and liberal listening, and my God, I have enemies out there. What? Name me. Show me one time. Just once. Once. I dare you. Once. I will quit my job on the spot. You've been itching to get me off the air, and all you rhinos, okay? Those of you at the Boston Herald and others, wink, wink, you know who I'm talking about. You have been trying to get me off the air now for over a decade. Here's your chance. Here's my challenge to you. It's really this simple. Show me one time that Donald Trump said in this campaign or any time, we got to round people up by the millions. We got to put them in internment camps. All my enemies, all Democrats, journalists, judges, people who vote against me, dissenters, round them up and put them in a camp. I dare you. Show me the evidence. Find me the evidence. This woman, this congresswoman, just defamed Trump. That's slander, my friend. He never, ever, ever said that. But there she is saying, Jake, you're going to have to visit me in a camp. That's what he's going to do to every Democrat member of Congress. We're all going to be put in a camp. Larry, they've lost, I got to clean up my language, their freaking collective minds. Because now they know they're going down. You don't freak out like this if you're winning on Tuesday, or if you're confident you're stealing it on Tuesday. You freak out like this because I think they realize now it's too big to rig. Am I wrong, Larry?
No, Jeff, I saw that interview with Dingell last night. Talk about luck of the draw. The only reason she's in Congress is because of her last name and that her husband dropped dead. That's it. And how bad is it when Jake Tapper is looking at you like you're a complete moron for saying that? That's pretty bad when one of the most liberal news guys going, you're an idiot. You can see the look on his face. And see, that's why I'm trying to temper my words. Is we need to stop getting offended or letting other people tell us what we should be offended by. Think about who has been supporting Kamala. Right? You got, what's her name? Megan the Stallion, or Stallion the Megan, whatever the heck. If anyone's ever read her lyrics and she did the concert for Kamala and Kamala's up there partying with her, I said, so she can say all this vile stuff. Whoopi Goldberg was losing her mind on The View. I used to listen to her back when she was a comedian and actually funny. The vile vitriol that came out of her mouth. She dated Ted Danson, who showed up in blackface at a party, and she was okay with it. The hypocrisy kills you.
Oh, you're dead on. Larry, as usual, you're absolutely dead on. Look, they're coming unglued. And they're a bunch of frauds, fakes, and hypocrites. This is all faux manufactured outrage. Agree, disagree, all of your calls next. 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lines are jammed. The text line is going to blow. So you can text us 70470. This is from 917, and it's a doozy. Jeff, Joe Biden just called all Donald Trump voters, quote unquote, garbage. Friendly reminder that his son Hunter spent $1 million on hookers, emptied his daughter's college fund to buy crack, refused to support a stripper he impregnated, and slept with his sister-in-law after his brother died of cancer. And we're garbage? Or as Larry put it, white trash. We're the white trash? I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. Okay, one more. And people are really starting to say, look, Jeff, the media is misrepresenting this comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, who did his little routine at the Madison Square Garden rally. So this is from 617. Jeff, the comedian took a shot at Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico has a terrible garbage problem. They don't recycle. And it's the fault of the Democrat politicians. So he took a swipe at Puerto Rico's politicians, not Puerto Ricans. The comedian is one of those guys that they hire for roasts. So his comedy is always raunchy and edgy. Well, that's a brilliant point. I did not know that. I know I read that he goes to this comedian apparently goes to Puerto Rico all the time. Always vacations there, loves being there. And apparently it's like, no, I'm not saying Puerto Ricans are floating garbage, an island floating, floating island of garbage. It's the garbage. There's just so much garbage because they don't recycle. And the politicians are so corrupt and inept, they can't even take care of the garbage. So it was a swipe at the politicians and the Democrats, not actual Puerto Ricans. 617-266-6868. Bob in Medford. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. I think your listeners might remember me as the guy who ran against Warren a couple months ago.
Yes.
I've been extremely busy in the meanwhile. I pulled together some of my research, wrote and published a book. This is perfect for this topic. It's called The Camelot Murders, The Crucifixion of Mary Jo, which proves Joe Biden and the Democratic Party of today decapitated the party of JFK because they were Catholic. So Mary Jo Kopechne, people know that name. They think Ted Kennedy drove off the bridge. Well, guess what? She was not killed in an accident. She was sacrificed at the dawn of the space age. It's so long and planned, you can't believe it. 2 days after the moon launch, 2 days before the moon landing, and she was born in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, like Joe Biden. And guess what? That area is absolutely due west of Chappaquiddick, and there's a lot going on with scripting. I approve it's a Hollywood script, and it involves the Wicked Witch of the West. I mean, you can't believe it, Jeff. So that book is up there on Amazon. It's called The Camelot Murders, The Crucifixion of Mary Jo. And it would be amazing if your listeners said, like, let me check it out on Amazon. And you can also go to robertanthonyellis.com and say, you know what, I'm going to get the Kindle version because you can digitally search for the name Biden. You're going to see the name Joe Biden 35 times in my book. And you're going to go,
you know, Bob, I'm not surprised because the guy's been around for over 50 years. And you're right. He was a very close ally of the Kennedys, Ted Kennedy in particular, and the far left of the Democratic Party. And, you know, he's the guy that runs around calling himself a Catholic. You're right. He's an anti-Catholic bigot. Joe Biden is a self-hating, self-loathing Catholic. Look, no self-respecting Catholic, if becoming president of the United States, would refer to his fellow citizens and over half of his, fellow, countrymen and countrywomen, fellow Americans, as garbage. The guy's a thug. The guy's a complete political thug. And he's vindictive. He's vicious. He's nasty. He's ugly. And I mean ugly in the sense that his politics is ugly. And so, Bob, I'm not surprised with anything now when it comes to, and corrupt to the bone. And you really see that now. And so, look, Bob, the question I have, and I want to thank you for that call as always, Bob. The question I have, really, for the audience of Kuhner Country, do you think this is going to have an impact on the election? Is this now a massive political gift for Trump and the Trump campaign? Is this going to motivate you to go to the polls even more? Is it going to motivate Trump supporters to go to the polls even more? And Kamala Harris, does she need to condemn Joe Biden's remarks? Does she need to refute him and call them out? Because so far she's as quiet as a church mouse. And to me, silence means approval. Silence means sanction. You just insulted over half what insulted? You vilified over half the country. This is her, in theory, her boss. And she's not saying a word? I think her silence says everything we need to know. But I want to hear from you. Joe Biden has now called all of you garbage. Are you offended, or do you even care? And will this have an impact on the election? Your calls next. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it's the biggest story in the world right now. Joe Biden in an unbelievable interview. Shocking, disgusting, deplorable. I could go on and on and on. There's not enough adjectives. said that supporters of Trump, every single supporter, is a piece of garbage. And the backlash is coming not just from Republicans, not just from independents, not just obviously from people like me and Trump supporters. But listen now, this is Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who was on with Caitlin Collins. He is the Democrat governor of Pennsylvania. As you know, Pennsylvania now is a pivotal battleground state. Shapiro basically said, we need Biden saying this like we need a hole in the head. We have enough Trump supporters who are ultra motivated to vote. Now he's given them rocket fuel. Listen now to Josh Shapiro saying Joe Biden went beyond the pale. He crossed the Rubicon. Roll cut 3, Mike.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
So there you go. There you go. Even Josh Shapiro is saying, nah, you don't want to go there. Kamala Harris, silent. No response from her campaign. It's unbelievable. Listen now to Caitlin Collins. Apparently now the White House, beginning last night, they knew the blowback was immense. It blew up in their face. It was everywhere. They knew, we may have just kissed away whatever chance we have left of winning this election. And so Joe Biden was trying to say, no, I was just talking about the comedian. No, I was just talking about those Trump supporters that found his joke funny. I wasn't talking about all of them. Well, listen to Caitlin Collins. This is CNN. This is CNN. Roll cut 3A. Mike.
Well, and the White House is trying to say that what President Biden was saying, they're putting an apostrophe there in supporters, saying it's the singular, I guess referring to the comedian, that supporters comments. I mean, it's hard to really look at that when you can listen to it for yourself.
In other words, like, who are you going to believe? Me or your lying ears? So here, let me play it again. Here is the call that he made. Here are his own words. You tell me. Roll cut 1, Mike.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of things is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
I mean, it's the only people that are garbage are his supporters. I mean, he said what he said. Like, I'm sorry, man. I mean, it is what, and look, he's been saying stuff like this for a long time. Not quite as explicit or harsh or, in such a vilifying, obscene manner. But, you vote for Trump in Pennsylvania, you're the dregs of society. You oppose him, you're an enemy of the people, you're an enemy of the state. MAGA, ultra MAGA. You're fascists, you're extremists, you're an enemy of the people. So, Kamala Harris, we're all Nazis. Tim Walz, we're all Nazis. So if we're all Nazis, fascists, racist, yeah, he's going to go all the way and say, yeah, you guys are scum. That's what he's saying. You're garbage. You're scum. You're subhuman. And you're the president of the United States? And look, this is the key point. His supporters now, this is going to feed into the radical left. This is going to feed already into his angry, demonic supporters who are now rabidly going on social media and everywhere, denouncing Trump and his supporters as neo-Nazis. You're pouring gasoline on the fire. And as I said earlier, and I'm going to say it again, he just put a target on every Trump supporter's back. That's what Kamala Harris has done. That's what Tim Walz has done. That's what the liberal lying media has done. And now it's come straight from the mouth of the President of the United States. And these are the same guys. And I can play you literally 1,000 cuts where Biden and Kamala are saying, words matter. A president needs to choose his words very carefully because it can do tremendous damage and have a tremendous impact as they try to chastise Trump for his use of his words. Well, what about now? Nazis? No, that's not incendiary. Fascist? No. Racist? White supremacist? Garbage? No. That's not inflammatory. That's not incendiary. That's not explosive and reckless and dangerous. Hey, you phony, you fraud, you. John in Westford. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but the audience didn't really respond to that. They were just kind of like groans and moans. There's a few boos. And the comedian actually was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Like, it didn't go over the way that the media is portraying it, like a bunch of neo-Nazis cheering. And George Lopez made a joke about Mexicans being thieves at a Kamala rally. I don't know if you ever heard that one.
No, I know I haven't, but I wouldn't be surprised because I've seen a little bit of George Lopez, and that is his act. You know, he kind of self-deprecating, and he's of Mexican descent, and he makes fun of Mexicans, Mexican Americans. And he cracks jokes. And anyway, sometimes he's funny, sometimes he's not. But he's made jokes in that vein. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, John, you're saying he delivered that joke to a Kamala Harris crowd, correct?
Yes. Yep. And it went over big. But this joke didn't go over at all. People watch it again. You'll hear people moaning, and he was just kind of like, all right, okay, I get where you're going with it. But I don't think it's going to affect how people vote, because if you haven't made up your mind by now, you're just seeing this as squawking in each ear. You're hearing it come from both sides. So I think this is just nothing's going to come from it.
Okay, now, John, let me ask you, I think now the $64,000 question. You know, Hillary's deplorables comment, that was, the word heard all over the world. Right? People still talk about it now to this day. Joe Biden calling you garbage, me garbage, every Trump supporter garbage. Will that have an impact on the election?
I think we've become numb to it. I mean, remember the Philadelphia speech when Biden, with the red lights and the MAGA is going to come for you in the night. And, I think we're just kind of numb to it now. It's the new normal. People are very adaptive, unfortunately, and short-sighted.
Interesting. John, thank you very much for that call. So John says we've all grown numb to it, not just we as in, Trump supporters and America First backers, but we in America First, MAGA, but that the country now. This is just over-the-top, obscene, defamatory rhetoric. That's just how we roll now. That we've all become desensitized to it. Do you agree? Michelle, thanks for holding. In Acushnet, thanks for holding, Michelle, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Michelle.
So first off, Biden probably doesn't even remember he made that speech. So we can probably bet on that. Secondly, so the honeymoon phase is over. This is what everyone's expecting. So they portrayed themselves as the party of hope, the party of joy, the party of happiness. And now that they are running with their tails between their legs and scared, they're now doing what they accuse us of: hate speech, name calling, degrading other people. So they are doing everything that they have accused us of. And I agree with the prior caller. This is not going to change who people are voting for, because at this point, Trump supporters are expecting it. We were waiting for the other shoe to drop. When was their true self going to come out? And it's coming out because they're scared.
Michelle, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very, very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Okay, the other shoe now has dropped. Now we're Nazis, we're fascists, we're racists, and Joe Biden outdid them all. We're garbage. Your call's next. 7:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a lot of feedback. Emails are pouring in. The text line is on fire. Many of you are telling the Kuhner man that you agree with the last several callers. That all of us, we've just become so accustomed to the insults, to the lies, to the vilification, to the slanders, to the libels, to the names, the name calling, the vitriol, that this is like water off a duck's back now. He called us garbage. He's called us worse in the past, Jeff. We're going to show him on November 5th. That's, I think, the attitude many of you are taking. So I want to ask all of you, are you offended by this? Are you upset or angered by Joe Biden calling all of us Trump supporters garbage? And by the way, you want to talk about running a divisive campaign. You want to talk about pitting American against American. Holy mackerel. How do you get worse than this? Now, I just want to play the Hillary Clinton, her infamous deplorables cut, the line, and ask you, what do you think is worse? Hillary's deplorables comment or now Joe Biden's garbage comment? Roll cut 1B, Mike.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
So that was her, deplorables comment. Here was Biden yesterday, last night, on a Zoom call with Voto Latino. Roll cut 1. Mike.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of things is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
All right, so let me throw this on the table, okay? Let me throw this log. What do you think is worse? Which of the three offends you the most, and which one do you think is worse? Hillary Clinton calling us deplorables, Joe Biden calling all of us garbage, or Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim and Comrade Kamala, calling all of us Nazis and fascists? Hitler. What's worse? Harris and Walz calling us Hitler? Joe Biden calling us all pieces of garbage? Or Hillary calling us deplorables who are irredeemable? Remember, it wasn't just that we're deplorables, we're irredeemable. Which of the three do you think is worse? Which does most damage to the country? And which do you think endangers us or jeopardizes us the most? Which is the one that you find most offensive? 617-266-6868 is the number. Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yes, good morning, Jeff.
Hi,
Thank
Mel.
you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Hey, Joe, if you're listening, F you once again. But, Jeff, this is, these Democrats, it's projectionism 101. You have Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon, Roger Stone, talking about, internment camps. Well, they're using the law to lock our side of the aisle up. Trump supporters. It's they can't hide what their intent is. It's not us who want to lock up any Democrats. It's the Democrats wanting to lock up us Republicans. So I mean, Debbie Dingell and all that crowd. Hey, you know what you can do? I mean, you can kiss the northeast corner of my, black behind. But these people are lower than Will. Capital S with a hit, Jeff. They're low. Really, really low, these people are. They think that we're not on to them. But, Jeff, that's all I really wanted to say. They can all kiss my you-know-what.
Mel, before I let you go, I mean, obviously you're upset. You're offended. I don't blame you because, frankly, I'm upset and offended as well. Of the three, which was, I mean, I know they're all horrible, but what bothered you the most? Which do you think the nastier, uglier, more destructive insult? Is it Hillary calling us deplorables and irredeemable? Is it Biden calling us now garbage, pieces of garbage? Or Kamala and Tim Walz saying, you and I were all a bunch of Nazis, Hitler, and fascists? Which of the three do you think is the worst?
Calling us deplorables. I got a T-shirt. I've got Hamilton, Monroe, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin on the front of my T-shirt with the American flag, a streak of an American flag under it, and it says, "The deplorables." Those are the founding fathers of this country. And that came out right after I got that shirt right after she called us deplorables. So Hillary, Hillary, you can kiss that too. Kiss the northeast corner of mine, what. There you go.
Mel, what a call, man. One of the top contenders for caller of the week. F you and you can kiss my black you-know-what. Thank you very much for that call, Mel. Debbie in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Debbie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. I was just thinking, how much Biden is really angry at being thrown out?
Yes.
Do you think he did this on purpose? Do you think he said that comment on purpose, knowing how much it upset when, it was upset when the comedian said it? He's doing it to sabotage her. One last dig.
Well, look,
in other words, saying it on purpose. Saying it on purpose to anger people.
Yeah, I mean, Debbie, look, I got to tell you, many in Kuhner country think exactly what you're saying. Okay. Sandy thinks the exact same thing. And Vivek Ramaswamy, here, I just want to read it to you. This is where the story breaks. Vivek was one of the first people on behalf of the Trump campaign who put it out on X. And here's what he said. This is pretty much what you're saying. I'm quoting now verbatim. This is Vivek Ramaswamy last night, 9:21. And the comment was said just a few minutes before that. Quote, this is Vivek Ramaswamy. Joe Biden insults 90 million Americans by calling them, quote unquote, garbage floating out there, basically garbage, and thereby seals the deal for Trump. You may think it's his cognitive impairment, but it smells more like an ingenious way to inflict long overdue revenge on Kamala. Not a bad October surprise. So what he's saying, in plain English is Joe's vindictive. He never forgot that Kamala helped overthrow him in a palace coup. And he said, you know what? Now, with less than a week to go, I am going to screw you and screw you good. Because remember, it's not just that he said it, which is really damaging. She, at the time, is giving her speech at the Ellipse. This is being billed as the most important speech of her campaign. Basically, her, quote, closing argument, quote unquote. Nobody's talking about the closing argument. Nobody. By the way, and in that, she called Trump a fascist and a dictator and basically called all of us racists and fascists. But let that go, Debbie. The point is, this was her closing argument speech. Nobody's covering it. Nobody's talking about it. Everybody, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and everybody They're trying to protect Biden, trying to walk it back, but everybody's talking about the fact that he called over half the country garbage. If he wanted to sabotage her, I'm telling you, if that was his strategy, it worked. Now, my honest opinion, maybe there's something to it, but I honestly think he bore his soul. I think this is a guy now, he senses Kamala's going down. He sees Trump's coming back to power, and he's 81 years old. He's got dementia or whatever, Alzheimer's, cognitive decline. And he's like, you know what? I don't give a damn anymore. I just don't give a darn. I'm going to let her rip, and I'm going to tell him exactly what I think. Consequences be damned. You know what I really think of Trump supporters? You're garbage. You're garbage. And I bet if he was in private, there'd be expletives flying left, right, and center. They hate us. I'm telling you, Debbie, it's so clear now. They really hate us with every fiber in their being. And Joe Biden just vented, expressed, articulated that rabid hatred. What say you, Debbie?
Well, it's probably the only time I'm ever going to say, but thank you, Joe Obama, or Biden.
But I think the sense you get is you agree with Sandy and Vivek and a lot of the audience. You think, no, Joe Biden was being coy. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he just shivved Kamala, correct?
Yes, although he did say it with some hatred. I think he's obviously angry at Trump because Trump's the one that really kicked him out first at the debate. But he just finished it off with Kamala. Absolutely. I 100% agree.
Interesting. Debbie, thank you very much for that call. John in Groveland. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good. How are you, John?
Good. Jeff, the veil is slipping. They're showing us their true colors. They despise patriotic Americans. They have contempt for God and country. First it was deplorables, now it's garbage. And I'm going to wear it like a badge of honor. So much so, Jeff, that about an hour ago, I went on Amazon and had a custom T-shirt made, a red shirt with white lettering that says proud, garbage, deplorable. And I'm going to wear it with pride like a badge of honor.
John,
only $15, Jeff.
Really?
Yep.
You know what, John? I'm gonna get myself now. You're saying so they already have these shirts. They're selling them on Amazon already.
It myself. You can customize your own shirt for $14.99, and I picked out a red one with white lettering, and it'll be here by Friday, and I'm going to wear it all weekend.
You know what, buddy? You may have just you got yourself a deal. I'm going to do the exact same thing. John, is 100% cotton? I can't stand wearing polyester.
You can pick whatever shirt you want, whatever size, female cut, male. And, Jeff, this is all they have. There's panic in D.C. Now they're at name calling. Her campaign is nothing but orange man bad. She's not running on any policies. She can't do an interview unless it's scripted with a teleprompter under her rules and conditions. She's just not presidential material. They know it. They picked the wrong person in the coup. She didn't get any votes. And Trump's going to roll over. Pauly Market has Trump up 33.7 points as of today, less than a week before the election. I think it's too big to rig, and people need to get out there, wear their Trump shirts, wear their Trump hats. Be proud of it.
I'm buying that shirt. John, I'm serious. And I'm going to take a picture of it and put it up on Facebook. Just to, and urge everybody. Look, I know times are tough. $15 is not easy for many people to just, dish out. But if you've got $15, I love John's idea, and I'm going to follow John. I don't like giving money to Jeff Bezos. Let me walk that back a little bit there, John. Now that he blocked the Post from endorsing Kamala and actually wrote this op-ed piece telling the Washington Post, all their reporters to their face, that they've lost all credibility and trust, and that their reputation is in the you want to talk about garbage, in the gutter, like basically like garbage. Nobody believes their reporting anymore. You know what? Maybe I will give him now my $15. So I'll go to Amazon. I get double X. I'm a double X guy. I'm going to go red and white, just like you, John. And I'm going to get that shirt, and I'm going to wear it this weekend. I'm going to make sure it comes early. I'm going to wear it all weekend, and let's show them. Okay, you want to call us garbage? We're proud garbage deplorables. There you go. And we're going to kick your ass on November 5th. John, God bless you, my friend. And you should work for Amazon. Jeff Bezos should call you and say, you know what, John? I need a top-notch salesman. You're one of them. Rosemary in is it Wilmington? I have Wilmington. I'm sure it's Wilmington. I'm positive. Rosemary, I believe in Wilmington, but I have Wilmington on the board. Rosemary,
Wilmington.
It's Wilmington, right?
Yes, yeah, all right.
You see what I got to put up with, Rosemary?
Oh, that's okay.
You know, I mean, I'm a man of my learning, a man of my experience, a man of my accomplishments. I just want the name of the city spelled properly on the board. Am I asking for too much, Rosemary?
We have so many callers coming in, so, mistakes can be made. That's all right. But
I'm just teasing them. I'm just teasing Mike and Sandy. Go ahead,
well,
Rosemary.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but I was listening to the Boston 25 Box News this morning, and I heard, or I saw, a box, those mail-in votes that they have, mail in your votes, and people are mailing in their votes in this box. And it was set on fire. And then I saw the remains of whatever it was on a table, some of it in ashes. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if you know about this. It happened in Oregon.
Also in Washington State. The Oregon was bigger than the one in Washington State, but hundreds of ballots were set on fire by arsonists, both in Oregon and Washington. No, look, they're starting to destroy ballots. There's no question. Now, I have not read. I've read about Oregon and Washington, and they're looking to find the perpetrators. This is me thinking out loud. My suspicion, if I was a detective investigating the case or a journalist covering it, I would be looking for Antifa. To me, I think everything points to Antifa because they live for this. They're anti-fascist. So when Kamala, look, they know exactly why they're calling us fascists and Nazis and Hitler. That's to activate Antifa and Black Lives Matter. It's to activate the revolutionary violent left. And they want to basically get them going again. They activated them in 2020 after the death of George Floyd when they rioted, burned, and looted. And now they're activating them again. And Rosemary, in about maybe 20 minutes, I'm going to go to the heart of their attempted steal, which is happening in Pennsylvania. And trust me, Rosemary, you have to listen to this. It is naked, public, blatant voter intimidation now. That's how bad it's getting. But no, Rosemary, you're right. They're burning ballots. These were hundreds and hundreds of ballots. And so people are being disenfranchised already. And we haven't even gotten to voting, election day itself yet. Rosemary, thank you very much for that call. John in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
And for Orange Man here. Thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
Go ahead, John.
Not offended at all by the comment. We know who it's coming from. We know who he is. He's senile, Jeff. We know. Maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he didn't. He's angry. And I haven't called for a while. The last time I called was after Trump beat Haley here in New Hampshire. And you were talking about a 10-0 hockey game. I don't know if you remember that. And I said, well, we better wait. It's going to be rough going. Now I'm calling to tell you it's going to be a landslide, Jeff. We're going to take it big. We need to get out there and vote, but we're going to take it big. I'm a first-time voter, 65 years old. I never saw the need. All these people look the same to me. Clinton, Romney, McCain, Carter, Bush, no different. This lawfare has made it very different. These people in office are dangerous. I always wondered how the Nazis got in power. Now I know. I see it right in front of me now. These people are Nazis. Even the press, Jeff, the propaganda press, Ferengi, the gorilla, gets shot, it's on the news for months. Our president gets shot twice, Jeff. They just brushed it away like it was nothing. And the biggest thing, and this is for Democrats, they never told us what they were going to do with the border. They got in there on the first day, and they did that crap with the border. They opened it wide open. Did they tell anybody they were going to do that? No, not at all. So what are they planning right now for you people out there, you Democrats? I guess that's all I got, Jeff.
John, you're on fire. What you got was a grand slam. So what you got was more than good. John, thank you very, very much for that call. You're completely right. A lot of this was clandestine. It was nefarious. It was secretive. And they implemented it the first day they got into power. And notice they're not letting up. I mean, just take the border, just for 10 seconds, because I want to go to Derek in Brighton. But, look, 15 million illegals. Politically, it's killing Biden. It's killing Harris. Politically, it's devastating them. They still won't stop. What does that tell you? Even if it means they may lose power, they just won't secure and seal that border. Why? Because they're owned. They're bought and paid for. And their paymasters, those who control them and fund them, are telling them, you do what we tell you to do. And it's obvious. That to me is the scariest thing of all. It's the oligarchs, the billionaires, the globalists that have really taken over our country and our government. That's what we've got to get back. Derek in Brighton. Thanks for holding, Derek, and welcome.
What I wanted to ask you is this vitriol that's going on between, Joe Biden calling, Trump supporters scum or garbage. I heard some other callers saying that, this is taking a dig or something at Kamala Harris or something, because weren't they the one?
Derek, do me a favor. I'm up against a break. Please hang on. I want you to get a chance to finish your question. And there's a couple lines open if any of you want to jump on. 617-266-6868. Are you offended? You've been called garbage by the president. 8:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Let's go right back to Derek in Brighton. Derek, you were about to ask a question. We didn't have time for you to finish. Please finish what you started, my friend.
Yes. What I wanted the question I have is, how come Joe Biden isn't going after the people in the DNC and the people who dethroned him, from the nomination? They took away 4.5 million delegates and gave them to Kamala Harris, and they said, if you don't step down, we're going to, you said if he didn't step down, they were going to starve his campaign of money, and you said he blinked, and he's bitter, but why is he going after Trump instead of going after the people who dethroned him?
Well, and Derek, look, that's a great question. And thank you very much for that call, Derek. He is going after the Democratic National Committee by going after Kamala. This is payback. This is him going, Obama, Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries. Those were the three, along with Kamala, that basically orchestrated this palace coup against him. And it was really Obama and Pelosi on the phone. And the dagger they held over him was Kamala Harris. I mean, this is now widely reported. I mean, this is not, inside baseball on my part. Multiple media outlets have, I guess Pelosi leaked and Obama leaked and Biden's people leaked. And so what they said to him was that Kamala was going to lead the charge for the invoking of the 25th Amendment, and that she had enough support in the cabinet that they were going to invoke the 25th Amendment. and force him out of office, that he's just too mentally gone to be president of the United States. And that's what, and also they were going to starve him of money, that he wouldn't be able to run a campaign, and they were basically going to cut him off at the knees. And that's what Pelosi meant when she told Joe Biden, Joe, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. I.e., you can relinquish now, cry uncle, blink, and we'll keep you, we'll let you stay as president. You can then leave office with dignity, finish your term, but we're going to, we're going to run another candidate. And so he's never forgiven them for that. And so what he's basically now, this is a giant middle finger. This is him now, this is the theory anyway, that this is him saying, okay, you guys shafted me, you guys overthrew me, you disenfranchised my 14.5 million voters that I won in the primary and forced me out of the race, humiliating me and my family, denying me a chance to win, re-election. Because remember, Biden in his mind was convinced he was going to beat Trump. I mean, it's delusional, but he was convinced I'm the better candidate. I'm better than Kamala. I'm better than anybody else. I beat him in 2020 in his mind. I can beat him again. And he felt that they pushed him out. That they basically they stripped the nomination from him. So Biden is very vindictive. He's known for that. His whole life he's been vindictive, bitter, angry. Well, now this is the ultimate middle finger. And he waited till the last week of the campaign, on the very night that Kamala was delivering her biggest speech of her entire campaign, of her entire career, at the Ellipse. All of the media there. She had a big crowd. And the story, and it's going to be the story for days. Joe Biden comes out and says, every single Trump supporter is a piece of garbage. He's sabotaging her. There's just no question. What he's doing is he's inflaming half the country, literally. He's giving them now more reason and incentive ever to go and vote against her. So they're like, I mean, if you think Pennsylvania is, it's a hard time for you to win. If Pennsylvania is tough for you now to win, after this comment, they're going to be doubly and triply motivated to vote against Kamala and to vote for Trump. And in the other battlegrounds as well. And it destroys her entire, her entire argument. Her entire argument, phony as it is Trump is the divider. I'm the uniter. Well, how can you be the uniter now when you're calling half the country garbage? Garbage, pure garbage. It's the most divisive, frankly, disgusting, polarizing thing you can do. So it completely undermines her entire messaging and her entire campaign. Now, the interesting thing, and Sandy mentioned this to me off air, and she's 1,000% correct, not 100, really 1,000. She goes, to me, the most offensive thing of all is not that he's calling Sandy garbage. All of us were going to vote for Trump garbage. She goes, notice the silence of Kamala Harris. The campaign has said nothing. They haven't disavowed it. They haven't criticized it, condemned it, distanced themselves from it. She has said nothing. Her silence speaks volumes because she agrees with Biden. It's not hard to come out and say, hey, I disagree with the president on this. No, I would not have said that about fellow Americans. You don't call fellow Americans garbage. I know where Joe was coming from. I think I know what his intention was. His heart was in the right place, blah, 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 blah. But you don't say that. She won't even say this. She is dead silent. You know why? Because she thinks we're all garbage too. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, believe it or not, Biden also made big news earlier in the day. And I think that's why many in the Trump campaign, including, I suspect, Trump himself, he kind of was insinuating it in his reaction when he found out from Marco Rubio, like right in the middle of his rally. And we got to stop, breaking news. And Rubio comes in on stage and like Trump is looking at him like, what's going on? And he said, they just called all our supporters garbage. And that's when Trump said, it's worse than deplorables. It's, a worse insult, but, forgive him. He doesn't know what he's saying, doesn't know what he's saying, what he's doing. He's basically implying he's demented, he's gone. But then he said, I think he likes me more than Kamala. And the implication is he's starting to sabotage his own candidate now. Biden, Joey, is deliberately undercutting and stabbing Kamala in the back. And that's why he's starting to say outrageous, disgusting, insulting, obscene things like this. Well, the reason why I think the Trump campaign and Vivek Ramaswamy and others went out and said, he's doing us a favor now. This is the real October surprise, and it came from Biden against Kamala. Now, the reason why I think they're convinced of this is something that Joe Biden said earlier in the day. And I want to play the cut. And Kuhner Country, it's going to be the poll question of the day. So please listen very carefully. So he's at the port of Baltimore. So there you are. And of course, you've got the harbor, and so you've got water behind him, obviously. So think of him speaking, presidential seal, microphone, water behind him. And he's talking about $3 billion in funding that they're going to be using to clean up ports in 27 states. But he goes on about the joke that was said at the Madison Square Garden by the comedian. Now listen carefully to what Joe Biden says. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
That's why today I'm proud to announce we're delivering $3 billion in funding from my Inflation Reduction Act to help clean up and modernize ports in 27 different states and territories, from Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, and beyond, including, yes, Puerto Rico. Well, I'd take that guy for a swim out there. Anyway. Stenny's looking at me. Don't get going, Joe. Don't get going, Joe. Slow up.
All right, so there's that weird laugh at the end, but it's when he says, I'd like to take that guy for a swim out there. Now, that's a menacing threat. Okay, what he's saying is, I want to drown him. I'm going to kill him. I want to kill him. Now, the Gateway Pundit, which is one of the sites that I read a lot of websites to prep for the show, but the Gateway Pundit, and they have some excellent information, especially on voter fraud and election corruption. Jim Hoft in particular does a wonderful job. His exposés are phenomenal. But the Gateway Pundit interpreted it as Joe Biden was threatening the comedian, okay, Tony Hinchcliffe, that this was a threat against the comedian who made the joke about Puerto Rico. Now, Breitbart, which is another one of my news sites that I go to, interpreted as, no, he was threatening Donald Trump. Now, the Republican National Committee, they came out and blasted this clip of him, and the RNC said he was clearly threatening Trump, according to them, because he's reacting. I'm just giving you the RNC's position, that Joe Biden is reacting to the joke against Puerto Rico that the media is blaming on Trump, saying this is the kind of rally, hate-filled rally that he held, and he's demonizing and vilifying and discriminating against Puerto Ricans. So, but there are many people who are saying, no, he was speaking out against the comedian, not against Trump. I read it as Trump. Sandy read it as the comedian. That's right, Sandy. Either way, he's threatening somebody. Sandy's completely right. He's saying, drown him. The only question now is he saying drown Trump or drown Tony Hinchcliffe, forgive me, the comedian? So is it Tony or is it Donald? That's the question. So I want to ask all of you. It's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Who do you think Joe Biden was threatening to kill? This is unbelievable. It's the president of the United States. Was threatening to kill at his speech at the Port of Baltimore yesterday. Was it A, Donald Trump, or B, the comedian? A or B? I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER. You can also vote via X. I'm very active on X, as you saw last night again. My handle there, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhn as in national ER. Sandy says, no question, it was the comedian. I honestly think, and I could be wrong, but I think, no, it was Trump. Now, Sandy's right. Whether it's Trump or the comedian, Joe Biden is so freaking unhinged. He's now threatening to kill people over that joke over Puerto Rico. That was in the afternoon. And then at night, he's calling all Trump supporters garbage. That's why I think the Trump campaign is now convinced, no, he's sabotaging Kamala. Because the big news this morning would have been Joe Biden is threatening to kill either Trump or the comedian. But that's been eclipsed, surpassed, by him calling over half the country pieces of garbage. You can't make this up. This is the Democrat campaign with less than 7 days to go. Jose in Quincy. Thanks for holding, Jose, and welcome.
Good morning, brother. Thank you for taking the call.
My pleasure, Jose.
Jeff, before I get to the Puerto Rico comment, who let this clown comedian on stage is what I want to know. It had to be, I know Trump didn't know what was going on with that comment. But anyways, I didn't see the MSG rally live. I came home the next day. It was 6 hours long. I searched around on YouTube, and all the different YouTube channels had it broken up. This person speaks, that person speaks, but only one YouTube channel had the entire 6 hour thing with all the entries, with all the introductions. You want to take a guess which one, ironically?
I assume the joke, the comedian and his riff on Puerto Rico was highlighted, correct, Jose?
PBS. Ironically, PBS was the only YouTube channel that had the entire 6 hour show. So I went fast forwarding through it. Anyways, I watched the entire thing. I had the day off. I was cleaning, doing exercise, whatever. But I cringed when he said it. I thought it was terrible. But let me tell you when most Puerto Ricans forgot about that comment. Puerto Ricans, I'm going to generalize, most of them, they love wrestling. They go crazy for wrestling. Jeff, when Hulk Hogan took that stage, it was all forgotten. It was all forgotten, Jeff. Jeff, I don't even like wrestling, and I was fist pumping in my living room. They love wrestling. It's wrestling. It's all forgotten about. Now, I do think that he is going to lose some Puerto Rican votes for that. But like you, I don't think it's going to affect the election, because let me tell you, someone who doesn't give a rat's behind about the comment, and that is Cuban Americans, Venezuelan Americans, Nicaraguan Americans, Eastern European Americans who have seen communism. They don't care about the comment. They want to vote. They're front and center in all the Trump rallies in Florida. They don't care about that. It's all forgotten about.
I agree. No, Jose, I agree with you completely. And I'm not defending the comedian. And to be honest with you, Jose, I wouldn't have invited him. I wouldn't have invited any comedian. Never mind a comedian whose specialty is roasting people. Like, that's his thing. Which to me, I don't like roast comedy. I just don't. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I think it's insulting. I think it's degrading. I don't know. I just don't like it. It's not my kind of comedy. So on double grounds, I wouldn't have invited that comedian. But, Jose, I think what he was trying to get at is, because apparently he does visit Puerto Rico very often. I was at Puerto Rico, when was it? A couple of years ago. It's a beautiful island. I mean, really beautiful. Puerto Rico, San Juan is gorgeous. But even the residents there complain about the garbage. I know because the taxi drivers kept saying, nobody picks up the freaking garbage. And they're going on about how corrupt and inept the politicians are and why can't they pick up the garbage. So to be fair to the guy, not that I like him, he wasn't calling Puerto Ricans garbage or Puerto Rico garbage. I think it was like, every time I go there, nobody wants to remove the garbage. I think that was the joke he was trying to make. But I cringed like you. I thought it was, I knew right away the moment he said it. I go, they're going to pounce all over this. Why? Why? Why do it? Why? More next. 8:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, just about 2 minutes ago, I went to Amazon. I've got the shirt. I got it right in front of me. Proud, garbage, deplorable. It's a red shirt with white letters. I'm just looking for XX, and I want to make sure it's 100% cotton. If it's 100% cotton, click. I'm buying it. I want delivery by Friday. I'll be wearing it this weekend. Okay. Well, that's the other thing, Mike. Is it made in the USA? I always look for that. I don't want to give my money to China, as Trump would put it. I don't want to give my money to China. But I'm not going to be too picky on this one, Mike, because I'm trying to make a statement here. Now, before I get to Ellen and Drake, very quick, really, really good text from 603. Now, I asked earlier, of all the insults and the defamations and the slanders, the libelous slanders against us, what is the worst? Is it Hillary's deplorables and that we're irredeemable? Is it Joe Biden calling us garbage? All of us, every Trump voter, every Trump supporter, garbage? Or is it Kamala and Tim Walz calling all of us Nazis, fascists, and racists? Well, 603 says, quickly, because it's a long text, he goes, look, Jeff, deplorable is bad, but it's really utterly subjective. It's really in the eye of the beholder. Okay, garbage, that's worse. But even then, how do I, it's okay. It kind of falls flat. But the one he says that he would put at the top of the list, quote, is Nazi. And he said the reason why, Jeff, is because it's absolutely antithetical to who we are and what we stand for. It would be like calling a group of faithful Christians devil worshippers. And that I take serious offense to. I agree with 603. I think calling us garbage is disgusting and obscene. And he's putting a target on our back. It is beyond reckless and irresponsible. Deplorable, I thought, was sickening as well. But when you start calling us, as Kamala has, Nazis, Hitler, fascists, not just Trump, but every single Trump voter and every single Trump supporter, you're really crossing a line. That to me is the dehumanization of over half the country. And as Charlie Kirk rightly pointed out, I read the text earlier, you're so dehumanizing us that this is the kind of dehumanization that you saw in Stalin's Russia, in Hitler's Germany, speaking of Hitler, in countries where you have eliminationist genocidal policies. You need to lay the groundwork to implement the genocide by truly dehumanizing your opponents. And calling us Nazi scum and calling us fascists and racist and garbage, they're trying to dehumanize us. That to me is what is most dangerous and most sickening and most evil of what they're doing right now. And that's why I'm telling you, both now are clearly unfit to be president. Agree, disagree. Ellen in Drake. Thanks for holding, Ellen. and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Ellen.
I just turned 88 years old, and what is bothering me the most, first is the border, but second is that the Democratic Party never used to be like this. I don't know what happened to them, but they're very, very vicious now. And as far as what I think is the worst thing to call us is what you just said, Nazis. That is horrible. So that means that everyone that went to the Madison Garden is a Nazi, right?
Yes.
And this just hurts us. You know, it hurts me thinking this. And as far as Kamala goes, she can laugh her way all the way to Kingdom Come, because she can never deal with the leaders of China, North Korea, Russia, because she would just laugh in their face and they'll walk all over her. And that's all I have to say. And as far as Massachusetts goes, which I've always lived in Massachusetts, they have to realize that the Democrat Party is not the same as it was. You have to vote for the person, not the party. And that person is Donald Trump. And he is the only one to lead us into peace. And this is how I believe, and I hope Pennsylvania understands that Donald Trump is the only way out that can really do something for us. And I hope with all my heart that he gets in, because we need him badly, or we're going to turn into a community here. And that's what I believe.
Ellen, it's what I believe as well, and you're 1,000% correct. And God bless you, Ellen. You keep staying strong, keep staying hopeful, and I'd love to hear from you the day after the election, when, God willing, we celebrate one of the greatest victories and political comebacks in American history. Ellen, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, maybe I'm seeing red on this issue because of my family baggage and my family background and history. My grandfather spent 1.5 years in a Nazi concentration camp. His brother, a priest, was hung by piano wire during World War II. Half my family, literally half my family, were wiped out by the Nazis. I remember growing up, I'm telling you, and Grace can tell you this, at our dinner table, you never mentioned Hitler, you never mentioned Stalin, you never mentioned Nazism. And the reason why was because they committed such unspeakable acts of evil. No one is a Nazi except the real Nazis. No one is Hitler or, Stalin or that level of a mass murderer, except those that committed those crimes and atrocities. And so out of respect for the dead, I'm sorry, out of respect for the Holocaust, out of respect for half my family, you don't throw around Hitler and Nazi like it's some little stupid insult. It's beyond offensive. You're spitting on the memories of the 6 million who died in the gas ovens. You're spitting on the memory of my grandfather. You're spitting on the memory of half my family who were butchered and slaughtered by these sadistic Nazi monsters. And now you're going to call me a Nazi? Because I believe in freedom and the First Amendment and the Constitution and secure borders and low inflation, and I want to end wars around the world that could lead to potential nuclear wars? You are effing insane, man. You're either diabolically evil, deliberately misleading and manipulating people to get votes, scaring them, fear-mongering, or if you believe this, you need to be put in a padded cell. So I'm telling you, this garbage has to stop. Because we're not going to have a country left. This is so dividing our country. This is scorched earth. And there are some lines in a civilized society you don't cross. The Democrats keep crossing them with impunity again and again and again. And that's why they need to lose. They need to be taught a lesson they will never forget. And that's why I'm not just hoping for a Trump victory. I am praying and hoping for a Trump landslide. Nick in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome. Nick? Did we lose Nick? Okay, let's go to George in Marblehead. Thanks for holding, George, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, George?
Love the show.
Thank you, George.
I'm going to make my own T-shirt, and I've got a great one. Here's the acronym for TRASH, right? TRASH. Trump remains America's superhero.
I love it.
Red, white, and blue.
George, you're a genius. I'm telling you. Have you ever had your IQ measured?
Talk to you a lot and listen to you a lot, so I guess maybe I have you to blame.
You're so funny. You're guaranteed your IQ is above 140, my friend. Guaranteed you're a genius. George, you patent that. I'm going to buy that T-shirt. You patent that. You start selling that, George. You're going to make a ton of cash, my friend. So if I were you, go for it. You know, I mean, hey, everybody else is making money off of Trump. Make a little bit of money yourself. George, thank you very much for that call. I love it. TRASH. Trump remains America's superhero. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, what did I tell you? Best. I know, Jeff, you keep saying it over and over. Hey, it's the truth. I don't know what else to tell you. Best audience in the business. Okay, and speaking of best in the business, you've got to read her political commentary every single week. We post it up on WRKO.com. She's got her latest column, must read. Everybody, please go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER, WRKO.com/Kuhner, KUHN is in national ER. This is Grace Woto's final column before the election. And the title says it all. The headline says it all. The closing argument, who is Kamala Harris? And joining me now to discuss this and so much more, Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place, Grace Woto, my wonderful wife. Grace, how are you?
I am very well. And Jeff, this morning, it made me miss all your previous monologues. You know, when Biden was going to be the Democratic nominee, every morning we would hear that he's a senile, demented, imbecile, buffoon. You have a litany of adjectives, and I'm like, how appropriate this morning they are.
Well, I want to get to your column because you actually, you watched Kamala Harris's speech at the Ellipse, but that's been drowned out by the shocking news about Biden's comments. You're garbage. I'm garbage. Everybody in the audience is garbage. Lori, your younger sister's garbage. My sister's garbage. My nephews are garbage. Our whole family is garbage because we're going to vote for Trump. So I've got to ask you, what do you make of Biden's shocking comment? And there are a lot of people, even within the Trump team, that believe this is deliberate sabotage on his part. He's undercutting Kamala, sabotaging Kamala with less than a week to go because he's still bitter, angry, and vindictive at the palace coup that she, Pelosi, and Obama led and orchestrated to overthrow him and strip him of the nomination. What say you?
Jeff, listen, when he says that we're garbage, I want to get into a shouting match with him. No, you're garbage. I'm garbage. No, you're garbage. Listen, are we school children here? These comments are ridiculous. They're preposterous. They are not befitting a president of the United States. And yes, he is trampling on her message. This was a very important moment for her campaign because, as she admitted last night, and this is the headline that everybody has missed, that's why I highlighted in my column. As she admitted last night, some of you may not know me yet. That means her campaign has completely failed. How could we not know you yet? We are 1 week out from Election Day. If we don't know who you are and you have to introduce yourself again, your campaign is zero. So she is out there reintroducing herself. She needs a unity message right now because everything else has failed. And Biden is trampling on her unity message. The Democratic Party is in shambles this morning.
You know, I got to say, I thought it was one of your best columns. It was extremely well written. You really get to the heart of the flaws of Kamala the person, Kamala the candidate, and Kamala's campaign. And I just want to read two lines, a part of your column. And you're talking about whether, you like or dislike Trump. You know what he stands for. You know what he's done. And you know what he's, forget the Nazi, Hitler, fascist garbage. Really what he's going to do if he's reelected. But you say this about Kamala. Instead, Harris should read Feminist Ideology 101. If you want others to think you are strong, capable, and worthy of their vote, you have to be strong, capable, and worthy of each vote. You have to define yourself in your own right, not by contrast to a man. What is their fundamental failure throughout this entire campaign, according to you?
Jeff, the fundamental failure is that she is actually anti-feminist. A woman should stand strongly for her accomplishments and her own convictions. Yet every time she speaks, she defines herself against a man. Oh, I'm not Joe Biden. Well, we didn't ask you if you're not Joe Biden. We're talking about you. I am not Donald Trump. That's the message that she was echoing again and again last night, even by where she stood. She's imitating him. He stood there. He gave a speech on the ellipse. You're standing there saying, vote for me, Kamala Harris, but she's defining herself constantly against the image of a man. Every feminist knows that that's the first thing that you should break free of. I don't define myself as the wife of, although I'm proud to be the wife of Jeff Kuhner, yes, but that's not how I define myself.
Oh, you get to tell me about it. You didn't even take my last name, for God's sake.
Well, you know
would it have killed you? At least you could have said Grace Wodo Kuhner. I'm just saying. You could have thrown it in there. But anyway, I digress. Keep going. You're on a roll.
When she speaks, the more she speaks, the less we see who she is. That is the opposite of feminism. The more somebody speaks, the more I should know you. The more I should be impressed by you. The more she speaks, the more she fades away. Because she's always using other people's words. So sometimes when she speaks, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, Obama just taught her that rhetorical flourish. Oh, yeah, there she's channeling Biden's language. Oh, yeah, her team told her to say that. I never see her. She vanishes into the background. That's the opposite of feminism. And that's why her own base is rejecting her. Black men are saying, not buying it. Latino men, not buying it. The Los Angeles Times, not endorsing you. The Washington Post, not endorsing you. Teamsters Union, not going there. Firefighters Union, not going there. Arab America PAC, not endorsing you. She's been rejected by her own base because she does not have strong enough conviction. And to top it all off, last night she's reinventing herself as a pragmatist. She wants to find common ground with Republicans. Well, you know what, Kamala Harris? If you're sincere about what you're saying, you want to find common ground, this morning, denounce Joe Biden for insulting Republicans. How about you do that and show me that you're a strong woman?
Well, and just to further reinforce what you're saying, she wants to reach out and work with Republicans and end divisions in our country, as she's calling all of us Nazis. She's calling Trump a Nazi. She's calling all his supporters Nazis. She's calling Republicans Nazis. So you're calling your opponents Hitler, but you're going to work across the aisle with Hitler. So either she's completely lying about her opponents and smearing them, Or how do you work with Hitler? You can't work with Hitler. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're completely right, because she needs to denounce Biden's comments and also so much of the division that he sowed throughout his presidency. He campaigned as a uniter. Think how ironic this is. He campaigned that he was going to unite us, and the last thing we're going to remember a week before the election is that he continued his disunity, and she has been part of that. And you know, I am so sick and tired of all this garbage about Trump is a big threat to democracy. Last night she talked about this is the American vision she represents. She doesn't understand the American system of checks and balances. Even if Donald Trump wanted to be a dictator, he wouldn't be able to be a dictator. That's what's amazing about America. We have a system of checks and balances. We have dispersed government. We have millions of gun owners. It's almost impossible to create a tyranny here. She doesn't understand America. So how can you be the embodiment of all of our aspirations about America, and you're saying that one man can threaten the whole system? You don't get the system. And if somebody says to me Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, it's easy to checkmate them. All you have to do is say, how? How? How are you going to do it? I mean, do you think that a country as powerful, as effective as this, there's not a lot of people who would love to become the dictator of this one country? Lots of people would have loved to achieve that. But our founding fathers are so brilliant. They put so many stops along the way. It's almost impossible to do it. So how? How is this 76-year-old man going to trample over...
78, sorry, 78.
78, forgive me. Going to trample over all of our systems of checks and balances, trample over states' rights, municipal rights, trample over the guns that are dispersed across this country. Tyranny is very difficult to erect here. Praise God, America. This system is far bigger, far stronger than any one man. And Harris doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. Therefore, she cannot stand for America. She cannot stand for American unity. And if she truly wanted to be that beacon, as they're saying now in the mainstream media, what a beacon of light. Sure. Well, unite us by denouncing those who divide us. And the first person to denounce is Joe Biden.
The closing argument, Who is Kamala Harris by Grace Vuoto, V-U-O-T-O, my wonderful wife. It's a brilliant column. It destroys and dismantles Kamala Harris. I'm urging all of you, we've got 6 days left before the election. Please go to WRKO.com/Kuhner, WRKO.com/Kuhner, K-U-H-N is in National ER. The column is posted right there. Please download it or read it. Send it to your friends. Share it on Facebook, on social media. Grace, outstanding job as always. And we will talk the next time after Trump is elected. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Dick in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dick, and welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Dick. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm from Hudson, Massachusetts, not New Hampshire. But anyway, there was...
Sorry, Dick. Yeah. So you're calling me from Hudson, Massachusetts. Oh, Mike, is that your excuse now? There's a Hudson, New Hampshire. This is how Mike is trying to, wiggle his way out of it. Right up by Salem, huh, Mike? You know what I have on the board? Dick. Here's what I have. I have Dick, and right beside it, NH, New Hampshire. That's what I have, Dick. So my apologies. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, very good. Well, so many things. Yeah, great program. But I just want to know, in what country that it calls itself a democracy does its president call its citizens the terrible names that the President of the United States calls today? I mean, that is not a democracy. That's a dictatorship. But anyway, we've got to keep our eye on the ball. And not upon the donut and not upon the whole. First of all, calling people un-American, which is silly. In other words, if you read between the lines earlier, some of the stuff that Biden and Kamala have said is that it's un-American of Trump's basic views on the border. Well, every country that is a country has a border. It's just crazy. So anyway, I know you've got a mile-long list of people wanting to call you. Thank you very much for what you do.
Dick, before you go, Dick, please call again, because I got to tell you, you made 3 bang, bang, bang excellent points. And you're completely right. I know we're a constitutional republic. I hear you. But, they keep using the term democracy. Okay, so let's just use their term. I've never heard of a leader of a democracy, so-called quote-unquote democracy, openly vilify and trash his own citizens like Joe Biden. I've never heard of that. Merkel, or Scholz now, Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor of Germany, doesn't go around and say, all my opponents are garbage. Macron, the leader of France, doesn't go around saying, those who oppose me, they're garbage. I've never heard of that. I've never, ever heard of this. And so the fact that this guy does it, you're completely right. If anything, shows he's got the dictatorial tendencies. Really, what they're telling us, Dick, is you don't vote for us, we're going to consider you illegitimate. What they're really saying is, either you vote for us or we're going to burn this country to the ground. You either vote for us or you're a freaking Nazi. So what they're saying is it's got to be one-party rule in the United States. Dick, am I wrong?
You're absolutely correct, and thank you for all you do. And we just, they keep moving the goalposts. You have to watch what they're doing and how they do it.
That's a great point. Dick, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Dick in Hudson, Massachusetts. Harry in Foxborough. Thanks for holding, Harry, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. I've been listening to you for years, and I've never spoke before, but I'm a little bit nervous.
Go ahead. You're among friends. Don't worry about it, Harry.
In Massachusetts, Trump derangement syndrome is at a unbelievable. I can't believe it. Not only are we in a country divided, but we're in a house divided. Trying to explain logically what's going on so we vote the way we need to vote. They're just out of their mind. I can't get it. I live with a lot of smart people. My kids are very brilliant, very professional. Excuse me. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. They don't see. They don't want to listen. They can't. They get very argumentative, and I just can't talk about it with anybody. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Well, look, Harry, to me, it's very, very understandable why. And it's their sources of information. I guarantee it. And if you want, just as a thought experiment, if you have like 5 or 10 minutes, just go to the Boston Globe. Okay, they're going to push you for a subscription. Obviously, don't subscribe. But just go through just story after story in the Boston Globe. And you're going to be like, these are all lies. Like the stuff, they're spitting on Trump. It's lie after lie after lie after lie. Just go to the Washington Post. It's frightening. They're painting this man like they're running opinion piece after opinion piece. I'm telling you, you can look it up. I was just giving a check of them last night. How do other countries deal with fascist rulers? By Jennifer Rubin. In other words, we're expecting Trump's going to win. So how do other countries deal with fascists? This is a standard mainstream opinion piece on the Washington Post. And the Boston Globe runs a lot of these pieces from the Post and the New York Times. So if you watch CNN, or God forbid, even worse, MSNBC, and you just read stuff like the Boston Globe or the New York Times or the Washington Post, you want to kill Trump. Really, he's the second coming of Adolf Hitler. So, Harry, I'm telling you, I guarantee you it's their sources of information. I'm sure they're very smart, high IQ, well-educated, probably very nice in their personal life, private life. But that's indoctrination. They think they're reading media, Harry. They're reading propaganda and brainwashing. And that's what's happening to your children and to your family. Harry, final word to you.
I tried to make one point. I said, if nothing else, I said, how can you respect somebody when Bibi Netanyahu addresses Congress and Harris goes visit her sorority people? What does that say to you?
Drop the mic.
I'm going to vote for.
No, drop the mic. Harry, drop the mic. Harry, thank you very much for that call. I really appreciate it. Okay, my friends. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Joe Biden, we're all pieces of garbage. Does it even bother you that he's insulting us? 9:32 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, my friends, I've been looking forward to this all morning. Paul Wahlberg is in the house, in studio with the Kuhner Man. Paul, it is such an honor and a pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure being here. So thank you for having me.
And I got to tell you, Paul, people are probably wondering why is Paul Wahlberg on today of all days? Because we are going to be having our DAV, Disabled American Veterans Marathon, Radiothon, coming up on November 8th, the Friday, 3 days after the election. So the timing couldn't be any better. And I know, Paul, that you love to support our disabled American veterans. And Paul, I've got to ask you this. You do it every year. You do it out of the goodness of your heart. Why? Why do you care so much about the DAV and about our vets?
You start with the vets. Anybody that's served, anybody that's made that commitment, we need to support them, and we need to say thank you every single time. Every time we have an opportunity to say thank you, we do. And especially people, the disabled American veterans who, they have struggles, and we need to be able to support them again to say thank you for making that commitment.
Was it anything in particular? Because you've been doing this for so long. Your commitment is incredible. It's ironclad. It's rock solid. I've never seen anything like it. Is there?
Well, you don't get out enough. That's your problem. They keep you locked in this studio, and that's kind of what you got.
Paul, I got to ask you, your dad? Did your dad serve in the military?
Yeah, my dad was in the military. We grew up in that generation. People obviously fighting in World War II and then Korea and stuff like that. My dad was a Korean era veteran. And, you heard about that and you knew about it, especially, growing up, in the 60s and 70s, you were still paying attention to it. And then obviously the Vietnam vets and the strong commitment that Dorchester and Boston and places like that had. And so for us, there was something that was always part of our lives.
Now, Paul, I know that you're a very generous man, obviously, every year with the DAV. And then you always do something special. We auction, we raffle and auction a dinner by you at anyone's house, the highest bidder, and you're always extremely generous. But I know that Wahlburgers, you just told me this, you guys offer a special discount for veterans and people who serve in the military, correct?
Yeah, so a 10% discount, always. And it's just that thing that's important to us, to first responders, anybody in uniform, anybody like that, because it's important to say thank you. Because, they protect us, they keep an eye on us, they help us when we're down, all of those things that are hugely important for any society.
Paul, I love your burgers. Your cheeseburgers, you make the best cheeseburgers, I'm telling you, anywhere in Massachusetts, hands down. I love the quality of your beef. Your beef, I don't know what you spice it with. I don't know how you marinate it. What is the secret to your cheeseburgers? I know you have by the way, a great food drop for all of us here. I can't thank you enough. But I'm telling you, your cheeseburgers are going to go like this. I mean, they're going to be gone. What do you put? Crack cocaine? What do you put in those burgers?
You know what? We use a great quality beef. It's an Angus blend that we're so proud of, and it's always fresh. All of our products are fresh, and then so many things are proprietary items for us. The beef blend that we're using, and then our buns and everything that goes along with it. The wall sauce, all of the things that are important. But we also have that government cheese on there, which reminds us of where we came from, which is very, very humble beginnings.
Oh, wow. Now, Paul, obviously Wahlburgers, immensely successful. Where can people go? Some of the locations that people can go to have an incredible burger or an incredible meal?
So you can always go to our Fenway location. We have our original location in Hingham. You can go to Linfield. You can go out to You can go out to if you go out to Foxwoods and having a nice night there, you can go down to Plainridge Casino. So there's lots of locations locally.
Wow, Mazel Tov, as the Jews would say. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know what? It's all about the team, and nothing gets done on your own. You know, you have to surround yourself with amazing people, and we've been so fortunate to just be surrounded by so many amazing people who care. And at the end of the day, you can't teach people to care, and we've been so lucky to find people who really care and are want to give great customer service, do a great job, and so we're very, very blessed.
Well, I got to say, Paul, and I know you're a very humble man, and I really respect you for that. You don't like the attention to be on you. It's about the veterans. It's about people you work for. But I got to say, you're very generous, and I'll never forget that. And you give a lot to the community. You give a lot to our veterans, a lot to the DAV. And truly, Paul, I wish you nothing but the best success. Paul, very quickly, I know we're going to have you on again next Friday when we do our DAV Radiothon. And I'm just curious, are we going to have, we always look forward to this, are we going to have, what is it, meal for, is it 10 people, Paul?
Yeah, we'll do 10 people, but it'll be at Almanove, just for scheduling. It just makes my life a little bit easier.
Okay, so you're not going to be going to people's homes.
Yeah, not into someone's home. So it just, we're running out of days. And, but I will tell you, it's a 6-course dinner. It's a great meal. I present each course. We talk about it. Wine is served with it. It's great. And it's also, for the cause. At the end of the day, we try to do justice to the cause.
Paul, before I let you go, when you see how we have homeless veterans sleeping on the streets, cardboard boxes, many of them can't even get, many of them are going hungry, they can't get jobs. Do you feel that for too long our society, our country has turned its back on our veterans?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't believe it's the turning of the back. What I see is people have different struggles, and each person has a different path on how they got to where they are. And that's the hard part, is being able to sort through what that is. Because I believe that, everybody tries. Everybody tries, but you know how it is. The more you try, the more you have to do. And I think we just have to continue to do more and continue to be supportive. And, you don't want to carry, you want to pick people up. You want to get them on their feet. You want to dust them off, and you want to help them and really kind of drive that message home that, we want to be there to support. But it's just hard to figure out how, how we've gotten ourselves into this situation.
God bless you.
It's a difficult path, but again, it's not one. If it was one thing, then it's easy to fix. But there are so many different situations that we have to really work through in order to kind of get us back on that right path. And it's, everybody does an amazing job. Everybody works hard, but we just have to figure out the path and the communication for it.
Paul, we only got a couple of minutes left. Before I let you go, I know it's like asking you what's your favorite child, of all your children, who's your favorite. What's your favorite burger at Wahlburgers?
That's the easiest question in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the Our Burger. That is the classic American burger, lettuce, tomato, pickles, onions, wall sauce, government cheese. Like, it's just, it's a great expression of that classic American burger.
Wow, okay.
So I don't know why you thought that was going to be difficult.
Okay, well, no, usually chefs, you're a chef, man. You put a lot of effort and knowledge and expertise into all these different burgers. To me, the menu is so confusing because you have so many burgers.
The thing is like, what you like. And so for me, and what I love about burgers is we want to make you happy. Our job is to make you happy. So we will put whatever you want on there. And so we have lots of options and lots of opportunities for you to create your own burger. But we also have some great directions that you can go with You can go with the barbecue bacon, the Our Burger, the Impossible Burger. We cover lots of ground. We have fish sandwiches, chicken sandwiches, everything you want. So there's lots of choices there, even a great hot dog. And it's just that thing that you can go out and it's simple food. And I love them. I can't eat them in the car very well because they're a little big and messy, but I love them. And it's, having a great cheeseburger really kind of caps off a day.
Well, we were just talking about this off air before, you came on the show. I'm looking at you and I'm like, I would be 400 pounds if I were you. You look great.
It's all stress. It's stress and running around.
I mean, I'd be eating all the time. I'd be like,
I put my fair share of burgers away. That's for sure. And and I'm a sucker for tater tots. But it's just kind of that thing. I just I'm always active, always working, always going.
Paul, 1 minute left. You got a 10% discount. You said for veterans, military service members.
Yep.
What about me? What about the Kuhner man? Is there a Kuhner
Dude,
discount?
I just brought you free burgers. Like that's like you got the biggest discount of all. We gave it to you for free, right? And so we're gonna have to figure out a side discount for Kuhner and his team. But we'll figure it out. But dude, you just got free burgers. I don't. What's more than free? Can someone help me here?
Paul, I was just asking. Just asking.
You know what? You never know unless you ask. So I will give you credit for that.
We have been talking with Paul Wahlberg, honestly, one of the great supporters of our veterans, DAV. Go to Wahlburgers.
Just so you know, it's a whole family.
It is.
The whole family, believes and supports. So.
Your brothers are great. Your whole family is great. Paul, I can't thank you enough. We'll have him on again, obviously, next Friday for the Disabled American Veterans Radiothon. Paul, you're a great guy. God bless you, my friend. 9:49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. Just want to thank Paul Wahlberg and Wahlburgers again. Mike is already chomping on his burgers. So is Sandy. Great food drop, but more importantly, obviously, next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, we're going to have our annual radiothon to benefit disabled American veterans. Paul Wahlberg always delivers. Wahlburgers always does. So please, if you can, you're in the mood for a delicious burger or a hot dog or a French fry or whatever it is, take the family out. Go to a Wahlburgers near you. Show our thanks to Paul for his support for our veterans and our military. 617-266-6868. Okay, let's go right back to the not blazing, screaming phone lines. Michael in Philadelphia. Thanks for holding, Michael, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, good morning.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, I'm Puerto Rican descent, and I just want to say I'm not offended by that comedian's distasteful joke. If anything, I'm happy that he brought something out to light because, of course, the media won't bring it out that Puerto Rico has a trash dilemma and a recycle dilemma. And, of course, anything that Trump does will be exposed. So I'm looking at it from that angle, from a positive side that is being exposed in that way. And also, let's not forget who's running Puerto Rico, the Democrats. So once again, it shows the corruption that's going on in that island. Also, let's not forget when that last hurricane, when Trump was the president, how they were calling him a racist and he's not doing nothing for Puerto Rico. And come to find out, all the water that wasn't being distributed and that was left in warehouses and the money, So again, it just shows that the hypocrisy of the Democrats.
Oh, you're making a great point. I mean, absolutely brilliant point. And look, Michael, that's exactly what the comedian is saying and the people who know him are saying. They're saying, we know the guy. He always goes, apparently he loves Puerto Rico. And he goes, he vacations there all the time. And what he's referring to is the trash problem. Now, the only reason why I know that's true, Michael, obviously you're Puerto Rican. You would know better than I do. But Grace and I and the kids went to Puerto Rico a couple of years ago. By the way, again, gorgeous island. Old San Juan is stunning. The beaches are incredible. The food, the people, we loved it. We're going to go again. But everywhere you go, especially when you're driving around in taxis, the cab drivers, all they do is like the trash. We say, hey, you like living here? Yeah, but the trash. I'm like, really? Yeah, everybody. Oh, they don't pick up the trash. Nobody recycles. They got a garbage problem. The politicians are crooks. They're inept. They're incompetent. They're corrupt. The trash, the way they don't handle the trash and the trash builds up and it's creating a mess. So I know for a fact that the Puerto Ricans themselves were telling me on Puerto Rico that there's too much garbage because the government is so corrupt and so incompetent that they can't even do proper trash removal, And recycling, forget about it. So that was his point. Now, the media twisted into him saying, oh, he's calling all Puerto Ricans trash. And it's like, no, he's talking about the garbage problem that they have on Puerto Rico. Michael, final word to you.
Well, like that one gentleman said, this Puerto Rican remains Trump's trash. Trump remains America's superhero. And he is my superhero, and I will be voting for Mr. Trump.
God bless you. God bless you, Michael.
Puerto Rico. We love Puerto Rico.
Trump does love Puerto Rico, by the way. He really does. Rich in Natick. Thanks for holding, Rich, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Rich.
As a member of the white trash community, I was insulted. I was insulted by Trash Can Joe's garbage comment. I mean, come on.
You know, Rich, think about it. This is a guy who took inappropriate showers with his 12, 13-year-old daughter, according to her own diary. And let's not even talk about Hunter Biden. And he's calling us trash? But anyway, keep going, Rich.
Right. Jeff, when you see them, every now and then they slip up, they're out of touch, they're fraudulent, and it tells you what they really think about, the vast majority of the population. They just think they're above it all. They're elitist, and they always put out there what they're doing themselves. I mean, if anybody can't see that, when you watch the local news, and I watch it just to see how they present things, like Channel 4, 5, 7, 25, every day for the last month, there's a negative, one or two negative comments about Trump, and there's nothing ever negative about Kamala Harris. And they just, they think they're sneaky by doing it, but I see it. It's easy to see.
Rich, you are dead on. Thank you for that call, Rich. Let me squeeze one more in. John in New Hampshire. John, I've got less than a minute. The floor is yours. Go.
Hey, Jeff, first thought was, what kind of garbage is it? My second thought was, well, my wife called me up and says, maybe you should wear a large, hefty trash bag as a Halloween outfit. We've become immune to the insults to us. But I do see, you had an earlier caller, the similarities to 1933 Weimar.
Well, you're right. The way we're being dehumanized. You're right, John. I wish we had more time. By the way, what many of you are suggesting, wear a trash bag over your body, like a raincoat, and wear that to the polling booth if you vote early or if you go on voting day. Hey, we're garbage people. That's what we do. Bye-bye.